Hello, 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 hello.
Hello, hello.
You got your voice back.
Thank God.
Super,
Thank God.
super.
Well, I do. Well, it's going to be apparent now, Mike, that I've just got to keep an eye on it.
Yeah.
I do have a problem, but we're not talking problems tonight. Okay.
Yeah.
I am healthy.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So it's
Yeah.
all good.
Yeah.
Well, they found a lump, so the doctor just said I've got to live with it and have another scan in another 12 months. So, um, yeah, because I'm not having it cut out because then because it's your thyroid and it's close to your voice box, etc.
Mm.
I don't want to lose my voice permanently.
No. No.
Okay, so
No.
I'm happy just to live in and as I say to people, Mike, what's a little bit more pain? I've got a broken neck. I've had major surgery.
Mm.
I've had a brain tumor. This is another one on the list now that I can laugh about. Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
the life of Linda keeps
Yeah.
getting better
Yeah.
every
Yeah.
day.
As it does.
Well,
Yeah.
it's all about our positive
Yeah.
attitude,
Yeah.
and that is one thing I do want to talk about because, we are when this weirdness started 2 years ago, nobody knew what was going on.
Mm.
And that's why people were scrambling and scattering around like chooks without heads, right? Um, that's an Australian saying, chickens without
Mm.
heads, right? Chooks.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry if that just triggered anybody. But now, 2 years later, ha 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 ha, we're getting all this information out of a certain P company that sounds like Fiverr. We're getting all this stuff from people in health. We're getting all these doctors now coming out with all their data.
Mm.
We can no longer claim ignorance, Mike. Anyone who now plays that ignorance has got their own reasons, obviously,
Yeah.
but those that are waking up, we are we're lucky now that we can sit back and laugh at this absolute stupidity of what has happened over the past 2 years. You know, we can now all so many people now are contacting me saying they've had one, two, or a booster, and they feel so taken now.
Yeah.
They feel like they've been a abuser. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
um, I always say the ab, our
Yeah.
ab of our arm with use-ups,
Yeah.
just in case we don't get anyone on
Yeah.
YouTube
Yeah.
pulling us down. But that's exactly where it is. Just yesterday, Supreme Court in New York, New York, New York.
So
Hello,
good
my
they
voice
named
is
it
back. I'm
twice.
singing again. The Supreme Court has now declared that anyone who got the sack because they didn't want the medical procedure, they now get rehired with back pay.
Mm.
Kabang!
Yeah.
That's them now saying we stuffed up.
Mm.
So I'm grateful, Mike, because
Yeah.
even the CEO of the P company, he's now even come out and said that this thing does not stop it.
Mm.
It does not stop transmission, and it virtually does nothing for the sea owner.
And
Um,
so did
so
the Ouchie fella come out and say that as well. And then there was
so
this ridiculous statement by this woman from one of the companies that said we had to move at the speed of science, whatever that means.
I watched that video. So okay, as a critical thinker, Mike, that I am, the question now remains: if it wasn't for the sea owner,
Mhm.
why did we all have it? Because they knew before it was released, because you've got to remember this thing was patented
Mm.
in 2016.
Yeah, yeah,
So they had the thing 4 years before the sea owner came out.
yeah,
Huh?
yeah,
Because that's all now being released as well.
yeah,
So why did they want everyone to have this thing? Because it wasn't about the sea owner.
yeah.
So people are asking the right questions now, finally, and the new and the good answers.
She's gone. Oh, she's froze. Oops. There we are. We're trying to reconnect with her as I can hear it bleeping in my ear there. But We'll see. We'll see what happens. Oh, there you are. You're
Oh my
back.
God.
You're back again. No,
But
yeah, there you are.
well,
See, you've used the C word too often. That's the problem, right? And it's now found its way through.
you reckon, or is it just my internet playing
No,
up?
it's your
Because
internet.
to be,
That's all. That's all your internet. But you know what? Talking of,
maybe over complex. Can you still hear me? I'm
yeah,
back again.
yeah, you're all blurry though. But anyway,
Well, when we go to our first video,
yeah,
I'll change over to hotspot. I'll get on my internet. I'll change my internet. Okay?
okie doke.
Yeah.
So before
How
we
about
do
we
that,
do that now, Mike? Go. Yeah.
look, look what I was given yesterday. This is the Healy frequency machine, and this is yeah, it works with frequencies. Frequency is the healing of the future. Up to now, I've been working with Rife technology, the Beck
Hang on,
protocol.
Mike.
Yeah.
We're both frozen. We're both frozen.
Huh.
So how about you go to the video because
Yeah.
I'll change my internet over. I'll go grab my phone and I'll go over to my hotspot.
Okay.
Okay. Let's have about just.
Let's see what.
What are we going to watch the news?
Yeah. Let's see what Katerina has to say, and then we'll get back to you. Here we go.
Yeah.
Very close to one of the locations that I'm going to tell you about. 36 Viale Principe Scalia is close to Montello, the wonderful Montello Palace. Now, that's a beach resort, but the building that I'm referring to is supposedly very haunted since during the Second World War, it was a brothel for German soldiers. So during the night, American soldiers came and just killed everyone in sight. This has caused the haunting, according to local legends. Everything from lights turning on and off, to the sounds of sobbing, to the lights being seen from far away in the windows, and the sound of running water despite the building being vacant for over 50 years. And it is on the market, although it's quite a hard sell. Since no one has bought this beautiful property that's only steps away from the beach. Can you believe it? And also, intriguingly enough, there is stories of close encounters there. They say if you stand close enough to the door, an older looking person will open it for you and invite you inside. Here are a few interesting legends and myths from the side of Sicily known as Etna and Catania. Etna being where that big volcano is. It has to do with Queen Elizabeth I. It says that when she died, the devil came and took her soul to hell, and in doing so, he had to fly over Mount Etna, and there is where Elizabeth supposedly lost one of her shoes. And they say that to this day, you could see her ghost wandering around the pastures of Etna looking for her lost shoe. Then there's also the witch of the Matabecca, as she's called. She is said to lurk in all the wells, and once little children come by, she's the one that will kidnap them. I don't know, a legend, or is it a cautionary tale to keep kids away from wells? Then there's also the fact that in Italy, instead of Halloween, what they have is the Day of the Dead traditions, which on November 2nd, little children awaken to find presents from past loved ones, grandmothers, aunts, grandfathers, all these little gifts, including toys and sweets, in order to foster a connection with those who have passed. That's how their parents continue um, respect for their ancestors with their children. Then let's go to Agrigento, a place in Sicily known for its beautiful temples and ruins, but there's also a dark side. There is a cathedral in which there is stored something called the Devil's Letter. Now, it was written in 1676 by a woman who was a nun, Sister Maria of the Crucifix is basically what her name translates to from the Italian. And it is also said that she wrote this letter upon being about 31 years old. She was found dead with the letter clenched into her hands and ink all over her face. Her rigid body just lay there on the floor with this letter in her hands, and they said that she might have been suffering from schizophrenia. She was heard screaming most nights at the devil and trying to get away from his grasp or supposed grasp on her behind her closed convent doors. She is also the ancestor of a famous Italian writer, Tomasi, and she was said to be schizophrenic, but they did decipher the letter, and it says something interesting. All these years later, the letter was finally deciphered in 2017 using some sort of computer software, because the letters were all in symbols and Aramaic and Greek and other ancient languages that have long been lost. They say that in this letter they deciphered that the Styx is for certain referring to the river Styx that unites the living to the world of the dead. So I don't know. What do you think? That's all for now, my interesting, fun-loving, beautiful, and wondrous friends. I hope you stay happy, I hope you stay healthy, and I hope you stay curious.
So, there we are. Paranormal news, it's everywhere. Everywhere you go can be spooky or can be a high vibration. But there you are. So she's still in Sicily, and I think she'll be back in New York for the next week's show. Back to normal. So there we are.
Cool. She's looking good over there. It's obviously doing her some good.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of the reasons why we should never judge is because you just don't know what's going through people's lives. And
Absolutely.
all I would say
Absolutely.
is Katerina has had a very difficult life at this young age still. She's had a fun life as well, but she's had a lot to carry, and you wouldn't see it. It's a tribute to her, actually. So she's having a 6-week holiday, and that's good for her. Yeah. But I'll tell you what.
Wow.
I'll tell you who isn't having a good day at the office. This first guy in this video. Actually, two of them. There's been better days.
We're going straight into it. I thought you'd want to talk about that health box that you just pulled out before and show that again.
We'll do that after if we've got a bit of time.
Okay. Let's go and have a look at these two poor guys with the water.
And then we'll take a look at the more ghosts behaving badly. So here we go. Let's run this.
This video, recorded in 2015, is one of the strangest we've ever seen. It was reportedly captured somewhere in Russia and appears to have been filmed on security camera. However, the details surrounding the video are sketchy at best. The two men look as though they're dressed in military uniforms and are standing guard at some sort of base or installation located close to a large body of water. Shortly into the video, some sort of creature lunges at the man on the right of screen and attempts to pull him into the water. The second man quickly rushes to his aid but is unable to help and runs into the base. The soldier is dragged off screen by the beast. Seconds go by before his friend returns. When he does, he appears to be making a phone call as he frantically searches for his lost comrade. He suddenly spots something coming towards him as he makes a dash for the safety of the base. A split second later, something very large flies through the door. If you slow the footage down, it's difficult to make out exactly what it is, but it's probably either the creature or the man that was dragged into the water. Would you try and open it? Perhaps after watching these clips from TikToker Time to Wait, you might actually leave it alone. According to the TikToker, her landlord has a locked shed on the property where she lives. However, in this first video, we see that she finds that the door has been left wide open.
That's my shed. And that's their shed. But it's unlocked today.
After entering the shed, the TikToker notices that one side of the space is covered in cobwebs, yet the other side is much cleaner, as if someone's just been using it.
There's cobwebs over here, but there's none here or in this space here. Okay, so now that I've actually climbed in, it's not as funny. Look at all this. There's no cobwebs on any of this stuff.
There, she finds an old suitcase.
Wait, what is this? I'm not playing with this. I'm not playing with this. I didn't catch it, but it was right.
She takes the suitcase inside and attempts to open it. However, just as she unlocks it, a strange sound can be heard. Watch what happens next.
It's not really working. Come on. I don't know. I mean, I don't think. What the fuck? Holy shit. What the fuck is that? Holy shit.
It sounds as though the shed door has suddenly flung open.
I mean, I don't think. What the? Holy shit. What the is that? Holy.
Then a disembodied crying sound seems to come from inside. It almost sounds like an infant, but her children aren't at home.
My kids are with their dad. Oh my god. Okay. It's okay. It's okay.
However, in the following days, things start to get strange around her house. In this video, we see the door to the shed. It appears to be moving all on its own. Scared, she gets into her car to flee, but for some reason the lights on her dashboard are blinking erratically.
I'm gone, but the car's still doing this. Dude, what the Oh my god.
When she eventually returns to the house, she manages to catch this video.
Whatever you are, leave my fucking house now.
In it, we see that the stepladder appears to be moving all on its own.
Sorry. Oh god. Okay.
Then an oven mitt falls from the stovetop.
There's nothing over there. Holy
So, I can tell you, I got to say, this might change your analysis on the first one. For some reason, the end bit of that clip got edited out, and what you saw is after that thing went flying in, some seconds later, what looked like a humanoid person put in a black cloak with a black cape walked out and just walked away. So I'll just start with my thing. Until I saw that, the guy with the black cape putting a hood over his head and walking out, I thought it was pretty genuine. But when I saw the black cape, I thought, nah, that's too much like what we see in the movies, you know. I could be wrong, but there you are. Unfortunately, for some reason, I edited that bit out. But what do you think with that first one?
Well, the thing that bugged me most about the first one is perfect video placement.
Yeah.
Or should I say perfect camera placement.
Yeah.
You only see what they want you to see.
Yeah.
Because I'd like to see what's going on in the house and I'd like to see what's going on in the water.
Yeah.
So they've only just got that little bit
Yeah.
where you can't see what's happening in the water.
Mm.
You know, you look at the movie Jaws. Let's go there with Jaws.
Yeah.
Even in the first couple of scenes, I was always thinking, what's going on in the water?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Because that's what builds that suspense of that
Yeah.
unknown factor. So I have a huge issue that those two guys are standing there perfectly in camera shot.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we have to consider also, and this is becoming a big thing now, that of course this is the inverted world as well, where they ban me for sharing stuff that's already been shared on YouTube. Yet then
Yeah.
there's people purely for monetize their channel. They're allowing, for example, you see it, oh, rest in peace, this celebrity. A while ago it was Steven Seagal, and the other day I
Yeah.
saw rest in peace Gina Davis, and people click on it and they're getting million hits, 850,000 hits, and YouTube
Yeah.
is doing nothing about it. So a
Nothing
lot of
about
this
it.
stuff
Yeah.
is purely there, brilliantly edited or photoshopped,
Yes.
whatever, to
Yes.
purely to monetize.
It's all for the clicks, you know. And I'm the first one who says, Mike, I don't play games.
No.
I'm genuine. My integrity is always high.
Yeah.
You know, I was following this. Well, I didn't. I followed them only because I saw one of their videos, and I'm not going to say which channel it is, but they were celebrity news, and the heading made me want to watch this video. So I subscribed to it so I could watch it later. I came in later, and that whole heading was never mentioned in the whole video.
Yeah.
I kept waiting and waiting. 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, I thought, damn, I just gave them 20 minutes of airtime.
Yeah.
You know? So I went to another video of theirs and same thing. The whole heading. So that channel to me has lost its integrity.
Yeah.
It's got no value, no purpose.
Yeah.
All it wants is clickbait.
Yeah.
So I'm not entertaining that because
No,
I'm
I
the sort of
don't.
person. I will gladly turn on your channel and watch your videos that go for an hour because I know I'm getting integrity and value. And, you know, that's why I'm so happy that you're now doing these table tipping and gene sessions because it's important that we start keeping the reality in check.
Yeah.
You know, because, you know, what's happening, you know, because so many people, this is what I believe, Mike, so many people have watched the Matrix movie where, you know, we've got this reality and then we've got this fake reality. The reality is we're just batteries plugged up to the system. The fake reality is we have a life, we have a house, we have a car, we go to work, blah, blah, blah in our life. But when you get kids that grow up with that mentality, they think it's normal to pretend of what's going on in their lives. And that's why they want to watch shows which this is in my own personal opinion. Please don't judge me for the shows I'm about to mention. But that's why so many people think the shows like The Kardashians, Love Island. We've now got one here, Love Boat. You know, Love Boat. All these people on a boat. Oh, what luck, we're all going to fall in love. Like, this is so far from reality.
It's also dumbing down, keeping you away from critical thinking. Small doses of this stuff is fun, but it's continuous.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's the big distraction, Mike. They want us watching these CRAAP shows because the more we invest in this frivolous life, we don't ask the true questions about what you and I present. We don't look at inside us of how we can be innately better. They just want to, you know, the first thing that they're saying now is, oh, look at the depression over the past 2 years, go to your doctor and get a pill. And I can tell you, because I've been on antidepressants, the first thing those things did to me personally, they took away my personality, they took away my emotions, which is my energy state, and they dumbed me down. So I was a living vegetable who just struggled to breathe, ultimately. So I learned to get off those pills very quickly because of the what I would call, in my own opinion, so I'm not breaching anything here, in my own opinion, the only reason why they give out all these chemically enhanced brain chemicals is to dumb us down, keep us like sheep, so we don't critically think.
You're
and find
joking.
out what's really going on. Oh, mate, you know this, mate. But, you know, people watch these shows and they just want the confirmation. They want to know the truth of what's going out there, you know?
Well, I'll tell you,
I
a good
actually-
walk in the forest for 40 minutes is as good as one antidepressant pill, particularly if you're in a forest where there's pine trees. Science
Yes.
proven that, because we got to trust the science, we're told, so trust the science.
Or is
So-
it the speed of science?
Worse than watching the Kardashians and all that. Do you realise there's a whole generation of people that grew up never hearing the Beatles? This is a fate worse than death. But anyway,
Well, say the same thing about Led Zeppelin anyway, darling.
let's move on.
Yeah, let's get going.
Let's because I've got a few of these lined up over the next couple of shows. If we don't get
Oh,
banned.
hang on, we didn't talk about the lady in the garage.
Oh yeah, the lady in the garage. Yeah,
Can I just go there?
yeah,
Okay, the lady in the garage. The one thing that irks me with these footage, because we've had, this could be our third, oh no, it's our definite second one. If ever you're home and you're hearing weird noises in your garage, your attic, your basement, wherever it is, yes, you grab your video camera, right?
yeah.
But you go in with someone else, especially if you think it's paranormal. Because if it is a D or some other sort of entity in there, which they're trying to portray in these videos, because, hello, it's not just little Susie, 5-year-old, that's happy ghost living in there, is it? No, they want you to have that fear factor of these videos. So you always go in with someone else just in case it is one of those things, okay? Because at the end of the day, I do believe this was real, but how believable would have it been if she actually went in with someone else and they documented it better than it was?
Yeah.
You know, I can do a bang, and now, oh my God, who was that? And it's me tapping because I'm below the table, so you don't see me.
Yeah.
But if you're going to put out a video, give it some credibility.
Yeah.
Because then it's not just another one of the millions out there of fake videos anymore.
Yeah. And then, of course, there's the schoolboy error of opening the suitcase. How many horror films have you seen where you don't open the suitcase and look under the bloody bed before you go to sleep? You know? But, yeah, it could be that she's just naive with all of this, Linda, and wanting to document it. And because I think
Can
it's
I just
genuine.
go there?
Yeah.
Can I just go there? You got to remember, she said in that video it was the owner's garage.
Yeah.
So why did she take that suitcase?
Yeah.
She's just stolen that suitcase, and if she opened it, she's bloody doing something now with someone else's property. How would that owner feel when, if someone came to my house and just rummaged through my bedroom cupboards and opened one of my suitcases, I'd be damn furious. So that to me was not right.
No.
Whether it was staged or
Good
just
point,
someone thinking, oh yeah, I'm going to film myself stealing the contents of this suitcase of the owner.
Yeah.
Wow, interesting footage.
Good.
It'd be interesting to follow up with the owner and see if he gave her permission to take the suitcase.
Yeah.
Whoa. Alrighty. So where
Okay.
are we next?
We're going to
Maggie?
this past life recall of this boy, and I guess he's at the right age to really have the most vivid remembrance of his past life, and it's a very, very interesting one, which you'll find out why. So let's have a listen.
He screamed, and I cannot tell you the terror in his voice.
It sounded like she was having some kind of a vision.
Something was happening that I couldn't explain that was very real.
How would an 8-year-old telling me this?
Jamie's memories of the Titanic went on for almost 2 years. Jamie was completely distraught over the fact that the people in the boiler room died first, like it was his fault that they were trapped. It was so sad, like heartbreaking. When we went to the Titanic exhibit in Chicago, I was hoping that there would be something that would turn the corner for Jamie. But it was after the exhibit that Jamie had the dream that I call the death dream. He had been suffering from night terrors for a couple of years. Well, one night, this was after we had seen the exhibit, I was home alone with Jamie. He was in bed asleep, and I was watching television, and all of a sudden I heard a bang on his bedroom wall. It was rhythmic. It was bang, 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 bang. And I jumped up, and I ran down the hallway, and I flung the door open, and Jamie was up on all fours on his bed. He was staring at the floor, and he was almost convulsing. He was shaking so hard. I didn't know what to do. I mean, I was terrified, and I didn't know if I should, like, shake him out of it. And before I could even do anything, he screamed, and I cannot tell you the terror in his voice. He screamed, "She's going down." It didn't sound like a little boy. It sounded like a man. And I started to cry.
She called me and didn't know what to do about it. It was very upsetting.
You know, it was the worst night terror he'd ever had, and I think the exhibit probably brought that up because he got so close to the things that maybe in a prior life he had seen at the end of his life.
Interesting, the voice change in that recall. And probably the exhibit was a trigger for the kid. What do you think?
Well, funny thing that's outside of the realms of this kid, it was only about 2 days before you sent me the files. I sat here and I watched a virtual tour of the Titanic. I've just shared it as a comment, but I want to tell you how exquisite this video is that I've just shared as a comment.
Right.
This guy has virtually recreated the whole Titanic, and they're doing like a walkthrough. So you're walking through the grand ballroom room. You're walking up the staircase, and it says look up, and you can see up through the staircase to the dome at the top of the ship. So I only saw that like 2 days before you sent me this footage, so I had the shivers, Mike, of that synchronicity of, you know, because I haven't looked at the Titanic since probably I watched the movie that came out years ago with DiCaprio. So how funny is that I've only just watched that, and that's why I just went into my history, because I've only watched it just last week, or, you know, a few days ago, to where it's about the Titanic. You can they go in and they show you what the bedrooms look like and all that sort of stuff. It's amazing video.
Brilliant.
But for this little kid, he obviously knows something.
Yeah.
Now, a couple of things that are really just irking me with this one. They're irking me. If I was with this kid, I'd be asking him things like, who is with you?
Yeah.
Where were you? Where were you?
Yeah.
So if he was there, he'd say, I was on the bow, or I was in my room, or I was there with Molly Brown, because, hello, that's a famous person, or the Astors, because they're famous people on the boat. So we'd want those confirmations that it's information that's verified that he could not possibly know, you know? He could have just had a nightmare about a ship and it's going down. So there is a little bit of congestion there with the fact that the mother is surmising, because he never said it's the Titanic.
Yeah.
He never said, oh, it's April 12th, 2012, or whatever the date was. You know, he's not giving up too much information. He could have been on the Bismarck.
Yeah.
He could have been on one of those nuclear submarines that sunk. She's going down. So I want more information from this kid. You know, I'd probably give him a hypnosis therapy and really go in and say, what do you see on the wall? So we're looking for those confirmations that would prove once and for all that this was the Titanic.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is part of a documentary which I couldn't find, because I agree with you. This is like a 2-minute snippet, and I never edited the 2-minute snippet. Because then it goes on to the next story. So I think this is just part of a bigger documentary, and hopefully they get into that. But I can't find it anywhere, and I agree. You need more information.
Yeah,
but he certainly is the right age.
Absolutely, absolutely. He was the right age. He's got the right wording, like she's going down. But that could also represent an aeroplane. You know, or it could even be that helium balloon that came down. What was that one called?
Was that called the Bismarck? No, that was called the
you know, that big
Zeppelin. It was a Zeppelin.
Zeppelin thing. Yeah, the Zeppelin thing. You know, whatever that was called. You know, he could have been talking about anything that was coming. She represents mechanics. So she's coming down. It could be plane. It could even be a train coming off its track. She's coming apart. So I just want more information, Mike, to verify that it was definitely the Titanic that kid was on. You know, if he could say, oh, yes, I was in stateroom 1108 and my name was George Astor, you know, that sort of information. Oh, boom, we've got him. That's a verified thing that kid would never know that information, you know?
I mean, the one that's the most prevalent is the young boy who was shot down in the war by a Japanese fighter, and he gave names, dates, everything.
And he knew how to fly the plane, and he was only 3 years old. Wow, that was a goosebump one. Yes, that was a good one. Yes, you know, so we only need one, Mike. History only needs one that's proven to prove that it's there as a theory of science, that this is possible. And there are so many out there. You know, it's like NDEs now. There's so many out there now coming forward with their NDE stories. You know, like the atheists that we're going to talk about. You know, ultimately, the more we do talk about it, the more that we share it, and the better this world will get, because
and actually it's creating a better vibration, because a lot of people, not everyone, a lot of people will lose their fear of death just incidentally looking and reading at this stuff. So the vibration of the planet gets higher. I've always said this is a terrible word, death. It really is totally the wrong word to use, death, that religion has instilled in us for many years. So I think the NDEs are great example of how people can lift themselves out of this feeling of death is final, and that lifts the vibration.
Well, no, it's not. You know, but it's all right for me to just say, well, I know it's not, because other people do want proof. You know, but the fact is, if they are on non-NDEers, if they want that proof so badly, they have to address why do they have such a fear of it. Because there'll be something there that's unhealed within themselves, you know. So, you know, that's what I say. People who have not had an NDE, that really do strive, they need that proof. Well, why do they need that proof for? And, you know, what's within you that isn't healed yet?
Of course, Linda, we only need one bit of real evidence, which we've got. The skeptics have to continually find reasons for not believing, which is actually a waste of energy. You'd think they'd have something better to do. To me, it's pretty clear that we do have past lives, because
Yes.
there is so much real evidence. So perhaps these people should consider changing how they see NDEs and be a little bit more proactive in the positive sense.
I can imagine, Mike, I can imagine going up to someone like Darren Brown.
No.
Now, he's a mentalist. For those who don't know Darren Brown, I'm actually just going to put his name in the comments. Go do some research because he's Darren with an E, Darren Brown. Don't know if he's got an E on the end of Brown or not, so I'm just going to Google him. But this guy is a mentalist, which means that he's got he's actually no E, Darren Brown. They're calling him an illusionist. He's a magician.
Yeah.
He's a magician. And he is on Netflix. There is a couple of his shows there on Netflix. But what this guy does, he debunks psychics and says it's all a trick. Yeah. It's all through that synchronicity. It's a trick. Yeah. So I would love it for someone like him to actually say, well, mate, you're a mentalist. Are you aware that you are actually a psychic who is using your innate own abilities to get people to pay to watch your shows?
Yeah.
Oops.
Yeah. That's put the cat amongst the pigeons. Let's move on, Linda. We're running out of time. This is the one that gets us taken off the air. The Miracle of the Dream, or the Dream Synchronicity. A beautiful story, and shows what can happen when you actually do listen to what you're being told, either intuitively or in dream state. So,
let's just have a game here, Mike.
Yeah.
When does the synchronicity start?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's a tricky one, that one. Okay, good question. Well, let's run it, and I'll think about that while that's going on. Here we go.
Called to tell him there was a letter from their daughter, who was away at school.
Oh, and after you finish reading that, I think we should talk.
Why, bad news?
I think our little girl's in love.
Well, she sounds excited.
And they want to get married.
What? We haven't even met him yet.
Oh, we've had so many chances. And besides that, I agree with her judgment, honey.
Well, I'll tell you what. I have some business in the capital. Let's fly down there tomorrow.
Could we?
Yeah. Tell you what, we won't tell her we're coming. We'll make it a surprise and take a holiday. Just the three of us.
Or maybe the four of us.
Yeah, the four of us.
On such short notice, rooms at this older establishment were the only ones in town. Of course, there was no way for them to know that this hotel would become the location for a series of events that would change forever the lives of Jason and Alicia Robeson, and would have a profound effect on their daughter as well.
May I take your luggage?
Oh, please.
Thank you very much.
Right this way.
Well, we're going to be here a couple of days, and we're probably going to run you ragged.
Thank you, sir. My name is Steve.
Thank you, Steve. I don't know.
Order anything you like, my lady, because I am rich. A very nice couple just checked in and made my week.
Wow, that's great. But I think I'll just have some coffee, thanks.
Nothing, thanks. No coffee for me. I'm going to try to get some sleep. I haven't been getting much lately.
Unfortunately, that's not my fault.
No, actually, it's the fault of a stupid dream I've been having. It's been waking me up every night for the past week and a half.
Dream?
It's no big deal. It's just that it seems so real, I wake up feeling like I'm still at work. By the time I get to sleep, it's time to get up.
Well, I guess you better tell me about it.
Well, each time it's the same thing. I'm pushing a room service cart like I always do. I go down the hall, I get to the room. I knock on the door and I go inside. The place is empty. I start worrying, thinking that I've gone to the wrong room. So I look at the cart. But the only thing on it is an oxygen bottle with a mask attached to it.
You've been losing sleep over an oxygen bottle?
Crazy, isn't it?
Well, I think you've been working too much, honey.
The next day, Steve reported for work, early in the day and on time as always. Steve had done his best to get a good 8 hours sleep the night before, but he'd been awakened twice after having the same dream as before.
Dream I keep having.
This routine task, which Steve had performed 1,000 times before, seemed to take on a special significance after he'd seen it in his mysterious dream. But Steve decided that his imagination was running away with him, and he resolved to think no more about it. But as Steve waited for the elevator to come down for him, he glanced at a crew locker he'd seen in this service lobby as long as he'd worked at the hotel. But today, one particular locker seemed to be beckoning to him, calling out for him to open its door. The seconds ticked by, and the compulsion to open the locker grew stronger. After a moment, Steve felt he literally could not stop himself. There, exactly as in Steve's dream, was the bottle of medical oxygen. By now, Steve was conscious of acting out his dream. He placed the bottle on the bottom rack, just where he had seen the bottle to be when he'd dreamed of it so many times before. Now, the only question that remained was, where was he supposed to be taking it? Unable to know where the oxygen was supposed to end up, he followed the directions on his room service order.
Come on, Jason. She'll be down the lobby by now. Jason! Jason! Jason, can you hear me? Oh my God, he's not breathing.
What happened?
I don't know. My husband, he's just collapsed on the floor. He's not breathing. And then he was talking. We're getting ready to go. Where are you going? He needs a doctor. You've got to call a doctor. Is it going to be all right? Oh, thank God.
It'll be fine. We need to get an ambulance for him. Hold that. Yeah, this is Steve. Call an ambulance for the guest in room 1104. Tell them he stopped breathing for a few moments, but he's okay now. I have him on oxygen. It's a long story.
Once the immediate danger was past, he began to realize that if he had not responded to the images he had seen in his dream, the man who had been so nice to him before would surely be dead.
Just out of curiosity, do you always carry an oxygen bottle with you when you deliver room service?
Not ordinarily, but...
I take it you two know each other?
Well, yes, ma'am. When he's not working here, Steve is my boss in the emergency room.
I'm a third-year medical student, and I'm just working here until I finish my degree.
Well, as of today, you're my favorite doctor.
I'll see you at work.
Excuse me. What are you doing here?
I'm supposed to meet my parents here. They flew in yesterday to surprise me. What's with the ambulance? Melanie? Mom? Dad? Are you okay? What's happened?
I'm fine, Ellen. This young man just provided the greatest room service we've ever had.
I'm so glad you're feeling okay. And it's so great that you guys are here, but why did you fly in? It's such a surprise.
Your mother and I thought we should fly down and meet the young man you wrote to us about. That's all.
Well, you met him. What do you think?
Well, we didn't meet anybody yet except...
You mean this is...
Steve, I'd like you to meet my mom and dad. Mom, Dad, say hello to your future son-in-law.
I told you she had good judgment.
Steve, how can I repay you?
Well, I can think of one way.
All right.
Jason repaid the favor a month later by leading his daughter down the aisle to be married. Bound together by the strange connections of a life-saving dream, this happy family of 4 became firm believers in miracles.
There is no way.
So, there we are.
So let's go back to my question.
Well,
when did the synchronicity start?
you know, logically, which isn't what synchronistic is, you would say it starts with the letter, but I think the synchronicity is all of them together. That's...
And you were right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because if she hadn't sent the letter, then they wouldn't have gone there, because he would have had probably that episode that he had at home and probably would have died.
Yeah.
So this is where the universe puts us into those perfect scenarios to give us that hope, trust and belief of love. You can't get a better example than this one.
No.
You know, they only just found out she was getting married. They wanted to trust this guy.
Yeah.
You know, they wanted to believe that it was going to be all right. They wanted to have love there. So, of course, they had to survive for that. Yeah. So I reckon the universe knew that he was about to have this event. So they've made, let's just go and see my daughter, like little puppets, where you get on a plane. Yeah. And I love this line. I've got to say this line, Mike. On such short notice, rooms at this older establishment were the only ones in town.
Yeah.
So they had no other hotel to go to. Yeah. They had to go there where Steve worked. Yeah. And not only when he was on shit.
Yeah. Yeah. And he had to have the dream.
I love these stories. And the dream, yes.
Yeah.
I love these stories.
Yeah. Brilliant. Brilliant.
Brilliant. You know, when I watched that the other day, I actually just had my washing finished in the washing machine, and I thought, okay, I've got 2 shirts in there. I need two clothes coat hangers to hang them up. So when I went into the cupboard, one knocked another, so 2 I was holding one and 2 fell. And I thought, well, wouldn't this be funny if that was a synchronicity, because I need 3 instead of 2, because my intention was to only get 2, but 1 other dropped.
Right.
So I went out the back, I got all the clothes in a big pile, went through, and sure enough, there was 3 shirts in there. So we've got to look for these synchronicities in our lives all the time to really understand, you know, I would have had to come back inside just for another coat hanger because I was only going to take 2 out, but there were 3 shirts in there. So it's like the universe said, hey, we're just going to create this little thing where one falls and knocks another one off. Yeah. So I had the 3. So even these little minute synchronicities, guys, we've got to just be aware in our consciousness of these things happening because that's our confirmation that we are getting looked after.
Yeah,
okay?
Absolutely.
We don't need a big story like this one because this is phenomenal. Yeah. That is a phenomenal story. Yeah. You know, it could be just as simple as you knock another coat hanger off onto the floor, so you pick it up, so you got 3, and then you find out there is 3 T-shirts to be hung up. Yeah. You know? Yeah. It could be just that, but as long as we recognize it, and we call it for what it is. It's a synchronicity of the universe looking after us. Yeah.
And the more you recognise it, the more you'll see them, and the better your life becomes.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, anyone else would have just picked up that coat hanger, put it away, went outside and went, oh, damn, now I need another one. Yeah. But I reckon as soon as it fell, I thought, geez, wonder if this is a synchronicity where I really do need 3. I'm going to take it. Yeah. So I took it. Because I trusted it. Yeah. And that's what we've all got to learn here. Trusting those synchronicities so they do manifest into these great miracles. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Good.
So,
okay. Last one. It's a 2-part story. We'll get the second part next week because it was quite long and I couldn't have done it justice just by chopping it all up into one bit. But we got enough to be getting on with. for this first part. This is Tough Guy, Atheist's NDE story. let's run it and get your thoughts, Linda. Here we go.
The guy that was with me, my partner, was more worried about electrocuting me up on top. So he was more worried about looking up, and he just kind of bumped into a tree. I hit the bucket and I broke all my ribs on my right side. I was sent to an emergency room, of course. There was some issues with my ribs. They weren't healing properly. I was sitting in the emergency room waiting, and I know the nurse said, here, if you need anything, push this button. And I sat on that bed, and I was really struggling to breathe at one point. I thought about pushing the button, but because I grew up in the South Bronx and we're supposed to be these tough men, I said, no, I could manage this. I could get through this. I always do. I waited about 45 minutes. And when I finally pushed the button, the nurse came in and she just looked at me and she just hit the cold blue. That was the beginning of my experience of dying. And I had a series of emotions because I was suffocating, so it was kind of slow. I'll tell you what my first emotion was. When everybody ran into the room, my first emotion was shame. Just stripped me down so quickly that I just felt shame. After I had that sense of shame, I started to feel, what if this is real? What if something's really happening here? And what's going to happen to my family? Because I thought when I die, there's nowhere for me to go. I didn't believe in anything. That I would just be shut off like a light bulb and just turn into nothingness. And then I noticed this shadow by the door, and it just stood there. And then I started thinking, you know what? I've had such a hard and difficult life. Maybe it's okay to kind of let go. Maybe there's no shame in this. I'm not quitting. I'm not giving up. I'm just realizing that there's nothing I could do to stem this chain of events, right? I can't stop it. I kind of said, it's okay. It's okay to die. And the minute I said that, or thought that, the shadow just moved. And it just moved around everybody in that room. And in my mind, I could see its hand reaching out to me, and it just touched my toe. And the minute it touched my toe, I just felt this tremendous sense of relief and relaxation and peace and love and calm. And I wasn't struggling to breathe anymore. I was in bliss. And I felt this breeze, this really warm breeze just blowing. And I visualized, because I got long hair, I'm thinking, wow, my hair must be blowing. This breeze, this is kind of like amazing. And then I felt myself kind of being lifted until I found myself in the corner of the room. And I was observing the effort by the CPR team, the group that was there trying to save my life. And I looked at them and I could see there was a doctor right over me, just pumping. And I could see there was a lot of stress in her face. And I looked at myself and I said, that's me and I'm dead. But if that's me, then who am I? Those are the first thoughts that came to me, incredibly enough. And then I just heard this voice right next to me say, think of your body as a car. And that car has like 5 million miles on it, and there's nothing we could do to fix it anymore. So, you have to now say goodbye to your body. And I thought, wow, I just kind of said it was okay to die. Now I'm standing here because I feel like I'm standing there, right? I don't know what I look like. I don't know what form I'm in, but I know I'm in some form of existence. And I look at myself and something very strange happened. For the first time in my life, I loved and appreciated who I was and who I've been. And I was so grateful for that body, that vessel, for giving me the opportunity to live the life that I lived. And I think it's something we rarely do. Take that 1 second to say, I'm not flawed. I'm the way I'm supposed to be, because we're always looking for what's wrong with us. We never really appreciate what we have that's good about us. And I started to get these memories of what I call everyday benign things. So somebody smiling, my little brother, me holding his hand, a kiss, simple things, you know, a child looking at you with this amazing love in their eyes, your children. Because those are things that happen every day. Just taking in a breath of air. How insane and how amazing that is, right? So I had this insane appreciation for who I had been and who I was.
A lot of philosophical comments he made in that video. The one that stands out most to me is while he's looking at his body, if that's me, who am I? You know, I mean, that's really quite deep when you actually look at it. A genuine story. I know these kind of characters from this part of New York. I don't know New York that well, but obviously I've got family in and around that area, and so I've become accustomed to the shenanigans of that part of town. And they are tough guys, and they're very proud people, and they don't cry. You're not to cry, you're a man, you know. So to see this guy who's a non-believer have a beautiful experience and to be all teary and emotional, revealed who he truly was. Deep down within all that hardness where his heart was closed off, he revealed his true gentle soul. Over to you, Linda.
And that is why I believe his story.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of things in there that I believe about him because it was so similar to my own.
Yeah.
You know, when you look at yourself is the weirdest thing that I can possibly say on this planet. And you see yourself, this other Linda, or in his case, the other him, and there's no emotional connection there. You don't care what happens to that Linda body, you know? It's the weirdest feeling, Mike. It really is. So that perspective is, you know, I love that he said it like he did. We all say our own different description words of how we see things, but he did that really well considering he's an atheist to start with. And, you know, people like him, they're the ones that we really do need out there saying, hey, I didn't believe this stuff and now I do, you know, because it's different for someone like me and you who've been psychics for a long time and saying, well, you know, we're just proving what we say. But we need the ones to come out that say, hey, I didn't believe this until this happened to me. You know, because that was a great story, Mike. It really was.
I mean, the other big atheist story, obviously probably the most well known, is the Eben Alexander, the neuro surgeon. And that was an amazing story, that one. And, you know, good luck to him. He's carved out another career on the talk circuit through it as he's retired from neurosurgery. So, so we watch the second part of that next week.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, Mike, you know, just to see what else he says, to see what else, you know, it's all right to just say, oh, yeah, I read all these books and then I just cut and paste their words and make them my own, you know, but you can tell with these people because they're so genuine. And they've got the, you know, people say, oh, why wouldn't you do it? You know, why wouldn't you fake it? Because but I mean, the more sensational the paranormal story is, the more you've got to lose. Because, you know, when I came out with my story, you know, that's why I wrote it as Ticket to Heaven. It was only 50 pages. Because the reason I only made it 50 pages is because I thought no one is going to believe this story. So I was trying to be on their level. And it wasn't until that person who I dated for a couple of months. He was in my life.
Yeah.
And, he said to me, I'm actually really angry that your story is not in your book. So I rewrote the book after what he said, and I went through all my old notes. I put in all the old photos, all the pictures that I drew after I was in hospital. And, now you look at it, and I'm pretty proud of the story that I've done now, because it does, well, it could be triple what that is.
Yeah.
I could put triple into it, but I don't want to inundate people, because it's best to just snip it.
Yeah.
What are the chairs for? Why do we don't hug? What's it like to see yourself as a body? What's it like when you float? That sort of thing. Because it was just too much information for just one book, or else it would be, I don't want to do a book that's 16 inches thick,
No, neither do I want to write a book like that either. No.
But well, I will go there, Mike. Before we go today, my ghost book has now been reversioned.
Great.
It's now called Ghosts Explained. It's now on Lulu.
Right.
So it's the same book, just different name.
Yeah.
Because my next one's about to come out. I've already been talking to my guy he's in Argentina.
Right.
My guy. I'm going to call him my book guy.
Yeah.
He formats my books and does all my things that I can't do because I'm not technical at all.
Right.
He's already on board. So Psychics Explained is coming out in probably 2 weeks. Then I'm working on Spirit Guides Explained, Angels Explained, and then the big one is going to be Law of Attraction Explained.
Right.
So that's the one that I really do want out, because it debunks The Secret.
Yeah.
Look how many people bought the book The Secret by Rhonda Byrne.
Yeah.
And they never got anything out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's a secret to The Secret, which isn't in the book or the movie The Secret. So.
And we'll talk about that off air, because I don't want to tell people the secret that I know that's not in The Secret.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I've already told people, because it's in another one of my books that's out there. It's all good, But, well, my throat is starting to give itself out. I think it's time to get off here and for me to get my bed.
Yeah.
You got to go and have a great day.
Yeah.
I need some more cayenne pepper and turmeric and ginger, because that's what I'm drinking tonight.
Right.
Again. I love it. Yeah, I'm off caffeine now, Mike.
Yeah.
I have about half a cup of coffee of a morning, and I honestly can't drink it now.
No.
So I've detoxed myself off it. So I'm doing good. I always say it's only when we stand on that precipice of when we're about to fall into the abyss that we change things about ourselves.
Yeah.
And me losing my voice, getting onto this all this natural remedies, it's the best thing I've ever done.
Yeah.
At 56 years of age, I always tell people how old I am. I'm not.
Well,
I'm in shock that I'm still here.
As we say on this side of the pod, you scrub up well.
You're doing okay yourself there for a 42-year-old, darling.
Yeah, I'm not bad for 42.
I always say you're younger than me by at least 20 odd years, at least 10. Anyway, it's all good, darling. Okay. Well, I got to go rest my voice, get my daughter to bed.
Yeah, I've got to go and look after the sick. I've got a house of sick people, so I'm gonna.
As long as the cats are okay, that's the main thing.
Yeah,
because they can't tell us what's wrong.
I've got to serve them. They've got to be okay.
That's right.
So anyway, okay.
Well,
so
from Australia,
Rennie, thank you for your comment.
I will go there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will go there, darling. We are in heat now. Today got to 32 Celsius, so thank you. Welcome to Australia. We'll have this now for the next 6 months. So, yeah, I'm back to T-shirts again.
Super. Yeah. And we're in winter. So, okay, let's toodle pip, and we'll see you all next week. And the comments are still open on the YouTube channel, so you can comment away even though we're wrapping up right now. So
yeah,
until
thanks for watching, guys.
Yeah. We'll see you all next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.